The Great Gatsby, a film about the 1920s with music from Beyonce, will.i.am, and Jay-Z. Welcome to Mastershot, where today we're heading to the Roaring Twenties to party with the stars, featuring Tobey Maguire as Nick Carraway and Leonardo DiCaprio as Jay Gatsby. The Great Gatsby is a long story told from the account of writer and alcoholic Nick Carraway. In a psychiatric hospital, to his therapist, Nick writes down his past from the point that he meets his cousin Daisy for dinner to the time that he first hears about the Great Gatsby. The mysterious Gatsby hosts enormous parties in his huge mansion next door to Nick, who, like the rest of New York, has never even seen the man. The two become great friends, and it isn't long before we find out that Gatsby is in love with Nick's cousin Daisy. Now, of course, as this film is an excruciating 2 hours long, there's more to the story. Gatsby has competition, a man by the name of Tom Buchanan, who just so happens to be Daisy's husband. As you can see, there's a bit of a problem here, and the film focuses on the ensuing love triangle. I thought I would like this film. I thought it would surprise me, I really did. Well, it kind of surprised me, but not in a good way, which, believe me, we'll get into in a bit. But let's start from the beginning. As mentioned before, this film is 2 hours long. Now don't get me wrong, 2 hours is fine for a film. I mean, Pulp Fiction, Fight Club, Forrest Gump, these were all 2 hours long, and they're a very enjoyable experience. But that's where the not so great Gatsby differs. It isn't a very enjoyable experience. The beginning up until the time that we first meet Gatsby is just so dizzying. For a long film, the camera never stays on one thing for more than 3 seconds. And just keep in mind when I play these clips, I haven't edited a single thing. I thought that maybe this would be an intentional stylistic choice, and maybe it would make sense in time, however, it doesn't. There's no need for it to be so all over the place. It feels like the director Baz Luhrmann watched any film from the 90s and thought it would be a good idea to edit this film in the exact same way. And while we're on the topic of editing, can we please talk about how bad some of these sets are? At times I was taken out of the film to gawk at these pitiful excuses for a background, as it's so obvious they're filming in front of a blue screen. But that's not all. The music here is baffling. It's so incredibly jarring that they decided to use modern day music in a period piece set in the 1920s. And, well, I say modern day, but these songs have already aged so badly that it feels like I'm watching a film set in 2013 with a fancy coat of paint slapped over it. Which, in a way, it kind of is. Let me play a scene that would have had the song A Little Party Never Killed Nobody by Fergie playing over it, and replace it with something a little more fitting. I think this change keeps the same tone of the movie without ripping you out of the experience like these songs do. They do use swing-style covers of modern-day songs at some points, but the electronic club music is still left in. It just makes no sense to me. So those were my biggest gripes with the film. Now let's talk about the cast. I think everyone here played their roles well. Sure, the script was a bit awkward at times, but this cast did a good job at playing the characters they were given. DiCaprio as Gatsby was great. You could never really form an opinion about his character because he was constantly changing throughout the story. And hearing him say old sport so many times was hilarious.
You look familiar. Having a good time, old sport? Haven't been a very good host, old sport.
Sorry, old sport. I thought you knew. Just ask for it, old sport.
I keep it from you, old sport. Not old sport. It's pretty, isn't it, old sport?
Carey Mulligan as Daisy did a fantastic job at the fickle, spoiled rich girl. And let's not forget to mention Joel Edgerton as Tom Buchanan, and Elizabeth Debicki as Jordan Baker. These actors deserve a huge round of applause, they did a really good job. But, oh wait, I forgot to mention Tobey Maguire. Nope, I didn't forget. Tobey Maguire did not do a good job as Nick Carraway, and he will not be receiving a gold sticker. As a character, Nick is bland. There's nothing interesting going on with him apart from his neighbour Gatsby. The film could have gone more into how he became a nutcase, and the fact that it physically had to show us on a piece of paper that he had these traits is a testament to how underdeveloped his character is. It's like he's acting as Peter Parker from Spider-Man again, this time with an overdramatic narration voice.
New York's dumping ground halfway between West Egg and the city, where the burnt-out coal that powered the booming golden city was discarded by men who moved dimly and already crumbling through the powdery air.
Credit where credit is due. This film won an Academy Award for Best Costume Design and Production Design. The costume designers did a great job at capturing that authentic 1920s look, and I gotta admit, some of these outfits that Gatsby wears do look rather splendid. For better or worse, these scenes have a lot going on in them. I'm sure there are loads of little details you might miss on your first viewing, and at times the whole scope of this meticulously choreographed film does make you feel as overwhelmed as the director intended you to be. The Great Gatsby, although it has its flaws, isn't unwatchable, which is why I rate it at 2.5 stars out of 5. Some of these performances are pretty good, and the plot is engaging. However, I feel that a lot of the film's flaws broke my immersion while watching, and it made me feel disoriented. But those are just my thoughts. I know I got something wrong, so tell me in the comments what you thought about this film, and I'll see you in the next one.
Look here, old sport. Then came the war, old sport. But of course you don't need to take my word for it, old sport. See, old sport, I'm honest sportswoman. She wouldn't do anything. All right, old sport. Go to Coney Island, old sport. Old sport, you do sell bonds, don't you, old sport? Absolutely, old sport.
What the hell are you doing?